In Austin, I'm Adam Bennett. We start with news so many Austin ISD families have been anxiously awaiting. The district has released its list of 13 schools that could close. AISD is dealing with years of falling enrollment and budget shortfalls. KVUE's Kelsey Sanchez runs us through which schools are on the list and what district leaders are saying about their proposal.
These are the 13 schools AISD plans to close: Briker Woods Elementary, Becker Elementary, Dawson Elementary, Barrington Elementary, Sunset Valley Elementary, Wyden Elementary, Palm Elementary, Ridgetop Elementary, Maplewood Elementary, Oak Springs Elementary, Wynn Montessori, Bedichek Middle, and Martin Middle. A decision Superintendent Matias Segura said wasn't made lightly, but gets the district close to balancing out enrollment for the 2026-2027 school year.
It's not because we just want to make a change. It's because we are facing severe pressures that we have to manage, or our school district may not be here in the same way.
Segura says AISD simply doesn't have the resources to make sure every neighborhood has excellent schools. The rising costs in education, constant changes from the state and federal government, and budget shortfalls have spread the district too thin.
Doing nothing is not possible. We just don't have that luxury at this moment, I am not going to risk our values and our ability to control this school district by delaying a vote.
Another major shift will be specialized dual language programs. The goal is to serve 50% of students who come from a Spanish-speaking household and 50% who don't.
By moving these programs, we're actually being very intentional and ensuring that those students who have been historically underserved have access to this programming.
The schools shown in blue, Pickle, Wooten, Odom, and Sanchez Elementaries, will become non-zone campus-wide dual language programs, while Jocelyn Elementary, shown in orange, will become a non-zone language immersion program for Spanish and Mandarin. And Go Valley Elementary, in green, will be the new home of the Montessori program.
The movement of schools where we have modernized facilities, wanting to really balance the enrollment, but also not have a disruption occur to too significant a degree in a part of Austin, would only be made possible if we were doing all of it at one time.
District officials say this plan will save them roughly $25 million immediately.
I would say it puts us in a much better position.
As staff and parents adjust to the information, Segura explained why the district chose to drop it all on a Friday evening.
It really had all to do with doing it in a very thoughtful, human, respectful way to our staff.
Now, obviously, this is a lot of information and a lot of changes for parents to process. Superintendent Segura was clear this isn't final. Trustees will talk about it at this Thursday's meeting. They plan to vote on it on November 20th. Well, state lawmakers and advocates rallied to save a death row inmate's life less than 2 weeks before his scheduled execution. Robert Roberson was convicted of killing his 2-year-old daughter back in 2003. Now, his supporters are calling for the state to stop his execution. KVUE's Daniel Perot shows us why they believe he was convicted on flawed evidence and what they're doing now to save his life.
Underneath the beating sun,
do not execute an innocent man, please!
Advocates and supporters bringing some light to Robert Roberson's case.
Judicial process has failed us, has failed Robert.
Calling on the state to halt his execution.
It would be a murder at the hands of the state of Texas and an affront to truth, reason, and common sense.
Roberson has spent more than 2 decades on death row since he was convicted of killing his 2-year-old daughter Nikki in 2003. Prosecutors said she died from shaken baby syndrome, but Roberson's supporters argued that science behind the diagnosis has since been discredited. Former lead detective Brian Wharton says he now believes they got it wrong.
All of us made mistakes which have put an innocent man in danger of execution.
10 years ago, Josh Burns was convicted of shaken baby syndrome in Michigan. Last year, he was exonerated.
To be accused of that is just soul-crushing.
Now a Texan, Burns says he feels a duty to speak out and support Roberson.
Robert needs that new trial to review the evidence where experts can come forward and he can have a proper defense.
In a statement, Roberson thanked those supporting him.
You are all a great, big blessing to me.
Roberson's attorney, Gretchen Swen, says they believe evidence shows Nikki died of severe pneumonia, but investigators never considered that, and courts have never heard that evidence.
You have very strong evidence of innocence and very strong evidence of due process violations in that the conviction is based on discredited science.
Roberson's lawyers have detailed the evidence in pending appeals to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. They're now asking a federal appeals court to step in as well. While Swen says the state won't execute someone with pending appeals, there's no deadline for when the courts have to rule.
They could wait until 5 minutes before the execution is scheduled to take place, really limiting our ability to challenge whatever the ruling is.
With the eyes of the world watching, Roberson's team considering their final options, with his life hanging in the balance. In Austin, Daniel Perot, KVUE News.
If Texas goes through with the execution, Roberson will become the first person in the United States to be put to death based on a shaken baby syndrome diagnosis. He is set to be executed October 16th. Well, it has been 5 years since the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, but some survivors say they are still feeling the effects. KVUE spoke to one nonprofit leading awareness of long COVID. Rachel Madison chairs the Long COVID Collective. The support group formed last year. Long COVID symptoms range from brain fog to extreme fatigue to muscle aches or many others that were not there before the infection. Madison says it can be hard to diagnose because it is a new disease, but she wants people suffering to know they are not alone.
You know, just because you can't see it, don't believe that it isn't there. It's affecting more people than are diagnosed and more people than you know. It is very likely you know at least one person with long COVID, whether they recognize it or not. And I would just say, yeah, being believed is a huge thing.
Madison says all members of the collective have suffered from long COVID. She says their group offers support to people and provides resources to find chronic illness-friendly healthcare providers. Well, Texas State Health Department has enacted emergency rules to comply with Governor Greg Abbott's executive order regulating hemp-derived THC products. Now, those rules ban businesses from selling products to anyone under the age of 21, and they also require those sellers to check ID. Any business that violates the rules could have their license or registration taken away. The rules are practically the same as the ones passed by the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission last month. The health department's rules will stay in effect for 120 days and could be extended for 60 more. Department leaders say they have started the process of making those rules permanent. Those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Adam Bennett.